That might have been the season's best win, on a night where only 10 Warriors were available, with half of them being current or former two-way players. The Dubs pulled out an overtime win in a competitive game from start to finish. Sheppard, who loves putting up big scoring numbers against the Warriors, was exposed the entire night by a lackluster Warriors offense. I want to break down how they exposed his biggest weakness on the defensive end, so let's get to it. Earlier in the season, Sheppard scored his career high against Golden State, and he was well on his way again this game. The former number 3 pick is clearly an offensive talent, but his size and physicality is clearly his weakness on the defensive end. Let's start off with a couple plays where Pat Spencer, of all people, took him to school. Pat and Post run a pick and roll where Sheppard is playing over the screen and Capella is in the initial drop coverage. However, due to Post's shooting ability and him popping back out to the perimeter, Spencer hits the defense with a hesitation dribble and slightly looks right, tricking Capella back out to the shooter. Sheppard, just too small and cannot fight back to recover. Spencer uses his size advantage to go up strong before the weak side help and gets a contested layup over 2 people. With Fred VanVleet injured for the season, Sheppard got thrown to the spotlight as a young player on a championship contending team, but if the Warriors expose him, just watch what actual playoffs teams will do. Let's run a Pat Spencer isolation this time. As Quinn Post is about to set a pick, Spencer acts like he's about to back Sheppard down or use the actual screen, but at the last second he spins baseline and immediately gets by the Rockets' point guard. Now he's a step on the defender, but Sheppard is quick enough to force Pat a bit closer to the baseline, but with the rest of the Rockets not helping, Spencer easily bullies him in the paint and puts him in the weight room. The Warriors were consistently putting Sheppard in pick and rolls and testing the Rockets' coverage. Melton and Gee both had solid games. Here they run a pick and roll and the Rockets decide to switch. The problem with switching is that it creates mismatches. Now Santos has a much smaller Sheppard in the post, so once Draymond got the ball up top, you know he is immediately looking to pass into the mismatch. Houston still is not helping and staying home, so he's an easy lob over Sheppard, who makes it worse by not only getting beat, but jumping and fouling Guy Santos for the and one. That's worst case scenario for the defense here. After a missed Sheppard 3, the Warriors try to go for a quick 2-for-1 opportunity. He first stupidly tries to gamble and gets out of the defensive position, so once the ball is swung up to Draymond, he also is lost now as to who he needs to pick up. Amin Thompson already picked up the ball, but it takes a second for Sheppard to realize there is a cutting Guy Santos right through to the paint. Dre hits him with a lead pass. Sheppard makes another poor decision by reaching and cutting Santos' path, leading to another soft and one bucket. Golden State somehow kept up the pace and actually led for the majority of the game. On a semi-fast break, D'Anthony Melton has the ball and immediately smells blood right in front of him. Without waiting for the defense to get set, Melton goes into isolation mode on the weak defender in Sheppard, tween, hezzy, then gets in the paint with zero resistance. Bodies Sheppard to push him off balance, forcing the Rockets point guard to make another stupid mistake by desperately getting his hand in the cookie jar. Another stupid soft foul by Sheppard that gets the Warriors an and one opportunity right at the basket. I know he's just a third-year player with a bright offensive future, but I can't help but point out that the Rockets are only going to go as far as Sheppard goes, especially the way he plays defense. Melton sees him in front again and runs a couple pick and rolls with Al Horford. First he rejects a screen but Sheppard cuts him off, then a re-screen with Horford again puts Sheppard over the pick with Capella in the show coverage. However, Horford's too smart and strong and holds off Sheppard on the high side to get an advantage and roll right to the rim. Simple bounce pass through the defense, no weak side rotation from Jabari Smith, and the 40-year-old Al Horford gets a wide open finger roll. Fantastic offense. This after timeout out of bounds play was my favorite play of the night. Horford's got the ball up top and looks to the weak side. With Santos cutting through the paint, Draymond sets a down screen and involves the Rockets' 2 worst defenders in Sheppard and Şengün. Sheppard already gives Pods a few feet of room and is now forced to chase from behind and takes a poor route. Pajensky comes off wide open and attacks off the catch and curls towards the paint. Now there's a 2-on-1 advantage where Şengün's in no man's land waiting to see who to commit to. Pods had a fantastic game as well, perfectly timed pass to the cutting Draymond, who gets undercut by Şengün and sells the contact for another and one basket. What a well drawn out clutch play by Steve Kerr. In overtime, Sheppard came back into the game and the Warriors were running circles around him. Ball gets swung to Dre and the weak side has a split action. As Pods comes to set a flare screen for LJ Cryer, the Rockets are planning to switch all screens, which is an Ime Udoka staple. However, with Sheppard's back to the ball, Pods slips the pick early to get a head start and beats the defense on the backside. Draymond's obviously going to make this pass, and Pods lays a beautiful reverse layup and capitalizes on the Rockets' miscommunication. That's motion offense for you right there. After Sheppard himself knocked down an open three-point in the corner, we have a two-way Santa Cruz Warriors guard LJ Cryer responding big time. This might be the first time I've watched Cryer have significant minutes in a Warriors uniform, and man, that guy can shoot the rock. Draymond comes to set a screen, but Cryer goes early and gets a step on Sheppard. This pulls Şengün in to help, and not gonna lie, I really thought Cryer was gonna explode off the step back three. But he realized he's still a two-way player and has to play team basketball. Ball gets rotated to the post, and Draymond comes to set an off-ball screen. Look at Reed Sheppard's position so low. Now he is trailing his man and runs into Draymond's pick, giving LJ Cryer all the daylight he can find. What a quick release and clutch three by the guard to take back the lead for the Warriors. Last but not least, after Melton almost threw the game away with this stupid play, he made it up by keeping the offense simple. Takes the smaller Sheppard in isolation with the shot clock winding down. Too easy of a straight line drive if you're the Rockets here, and even though Sheppard forces Melton to counter and spin around, weak side rotation by KD just isn't enough as the Warriors get a clean look off. However, Sheppard's too small to box out himself and the Rockets don't come crashing, so Santos missed the first tip in and then Melton finally makes it up by cleaning the glass. Great high quality looks right at the rim without settling for three-pointers. There you guys have it. The Warriors pulled off the unthinkable last night by repeatedly attacking the weakest defender on the floor and forcing Houston to deal with the mismatch all night. Golden State kept putting Reed Sheppard into pick and rolls, switches, and isolations, trusting their size and strength advantages. Even with a short-handed roster and several two-way players in the rotation, the plan was to hunt Sheppard, keep the offense moving, and finish through contact. It didn't matter if it was Spencer, Melton, or Guy Santos, the Warriors consistently recognized the mismatch and exposed what might be Houston's biggest problem at the point guard position. What an impressive clutch victory in a much needed time. So if you guys like this breakdown, like and subscribe to see more.